students. Yesterday, History, Unit 5, Social and Religious Reform Movements in the 19th century. Yesterday, we saw Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Vivekananda, Theosophical Movement, contribution of Annie Besant, anti-caste, Jyotiba Phule. Today, continuation of this lesson, Narayana Guru. Narayana Guru was born in poor family in Kerala. He was one of the poet or scholar in Malayalam. Not only in Malayalam, he was a poet, scholar in Malayalam, Tamil and Sanskrit. Sri Narayana Guru wanted to uplift the depressed class people. The depressed class people were treated very badly, cruelly treated by the upper class people. So Narayana Guru wanted to uplift the depressed classes during that time. He saw that the depressed classes, particularly the lower caste people, denied to wear the upper garments. The upper caste people treated very cruelly to the lower caste people. The upper garments were denied to the lower caste people. The caste tyranny was influenced during that time. The tyranny among the lower caste people. So Narayana Guru wanted to reform the lower caste people. So he started Sri Narayana Dharma Paribalana Yagam. Children, listen. He started, Narayana Guru started Sri Narayana Dharma Paribalana Yagam. Was started by Sri Narayana Guru. In this organization, mainly aim of uplift the depressed classes. The depressed class people want to uplift. The main aim of Sri Narayana Dharma Paribalana Yagam. After that, Sri Narayana Guru built a temple at Arivipuram. Particularly, the depressed class people were not allowed to enter into the temple, streets and public tanks and wells and all. And also the school also. Schools also, the lower caste people were denied to enter. So, the Narayana Guru wanted to uplift the depressed class people, so he constructed the temple at Arivipuram for the purpose of lower caste people. Thinkers or the scholars such as Kumaranasan and Dr. Palpu were the scholars, these thinkers and scholars followed the Narayana Guru's work. Particularly, these Kumaranasan and Palpu were served to the depressed classes, to uplift the depressed classes. Iron Kali. In the 19th century, in Kerala, the caste discriminations were arose all over the Kerala. The higher caste people were cruelly treated the lower caste people. caste discrimination. The upper caste and the lower caste people. The upper caste people treated as untouchables. Untouchable means tindame to the lower caste people. The lower caste people were suffered a lot. So Ayankhali were not able to see these cruelly treated the lower caste people. You were unseeable one. In the childhood, he saw the cruelly treated by the upper caste people to the lower caste people. So Ayankhali was born in 1863 at Vanganur in Thiruvananthapuram. Vanganur in Thiruvananthapuram. He was born in 1863 at Vanganur in Thiruvananthapuram. He started his career as anti-caste movement, against the caste movement. Anti means against the caste movement. He wanted to uplift the lower caste people, particularly the depressed classes, depressed class people. In his life, Ayankhali, he fought for the basic rights for the lower caste people. Basic rights want to provide to the basic rights wanted to provide to the lower caste people. That's why he fought against the upper caste people. Not only the basic rights in daily life, but also public and schools also. Entry of schools. The lower caste people wanted to entry of the schools and colleges. Ayankhali fought for the clothing styles. Already told you, the upper garments were denied to wear the lower caste people. That's why Ayankhali fought against the clothing styles. So after that, Ayankhali, for the depressed classes, he started a Sadhu Jana Paribalana Sangam in 1907. Sadhu Jana Paribalana Sangam in 1907. He was started, one of the organization. In this organization, the uplift of the depressed class people, namely Pulaya people, were uplifted during that time. Pulaya people. They belonged to lower caste people, depressed class people. So Ayankhali uplifted the Pulaya people, so that he started the Sadhu Jana Paribalana Sangam in 1907. Noted. Islamic reforms. After the Great Revolt in 1857, the depression of Great Revolt in 1857, the Muslim looks Western culture. The Muslims looks for the Western culture. During that time, English peoples were dominated the Muslims. So they compulsory wanted to learn the Western, follow the Western culture by the Muslims. The Muslims feared that Western education and Western culture and Western ideas endanger the religion, endanger the Muslim religion. They thought that. Muslims feared that. So they wanted to uplift themselves, and also they were treated as worse in a condition. The Muslims were uneducated people, more and more uneducated people is that. They were not able to compare to the Hindu-Halite during that time. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan started his career. Indian Muslims were lost in education. Educationally, they were lower in a position. Muslim people were lower in a position. And there was no leadership during that time. The Muslim people were suffered a lot during that time. And there was lack of leadership. In this juncture, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan came to the power, leader of Muslims. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, born in Delhi in noble Muslim family. Born in Delhi, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, born in Delhi in noble Muslim family. The education was denied to the Muslims during that time. So, the Muslim people were harmed a lot. So, he insisted, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan insisted to study the Western science and government jobs also, that take on government jobs. He ordered to the Muslims to take on government jobs. All the Muslims compulsorily wanted to study the Western science. The Western education were provided to the Muslims by the effort of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. During this time, he translated many English books into Urdu language. So Muslim people were easily learnt the Urdu language. The English books were translated into Urdu. Easily learnt by the Muslims during that time. The Syed Ahmad Khan, during that time, as a leader of Muslims, at that time, the bonded Muslims in the British, more and more bonded Muslims in the British. The British were ruled over in India now. At that time, the Indian Muslims were under the control of British during that time. So, bonded to the British during that time by the Muslims. So, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the English language wanted to learn all the Muslims. English education were provided to all the English because of they were bonded under the control of British. So they concentrated on English education during the time. All the Muslims learned the English education. Aligarh movement. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan started a movement known as Aligarh movement. He founded, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan founded Aligarh Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. He started schools and colleges. Particularly he founded the Aligarh Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College in 1875. Many people, Muslim people were studied in this college, and after that they produced in this college, Aligarh Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, the Muslims, more and more Muslims were intelligentsia were provided by the Aligarh Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. Now, students, listen here. Recall now. Narayana Guru was born in poor family at Kerala. He was a poet, scholar in Malayalam, Tamil and Sanskrit. During that time, depressed class people were suffered a lot. So he wanted to uplift the depressed classes. The upper garments were denied to the depressed classes. So he wanted to uplift the depressed classes during that time. Caste tyranny were influenced during that time. And so he wanted to uplift the lower caste people. Sri Narayana Dharma Paribalana Yagam was started to uplift the depressed classes, particularly to uplift the depressed classes. So after that, he built a temple at Arivipuram. In the temple, before that, the lower caste people were not allowed to streets, wells, tanks and public tanks and schools and colleges also. So he wanted to fought for these denied depressed class of people. Narayana Guru fought for themselves, and finally thinkers such as Kumaran Asan and Dr. Palpu followed the Narayana Guru's idea and spread all over the country and uplift the depressed class people. Noted. Ayyankali during the 19th century in Kerala, caste discrimination were influenced during that time in Kerala. The upper caste people were treated lower caste people cruelly during that time. The untouchables were spread everywhere during that time and unseeable. You wanted not able to see in this because of child during the childhood he faced a lot of problem. Ayyankali. So Ayyankali was born in 1863 at Venganur in Thiruvananthapuram. He wanted against the anti-caste movement, against the caste movement. Basic rights, he wanted fought for the basic rights for the lower caste people and enter into the public and schools also. The clothing signs are changed during that time. The lower caste people wear the upper garments. So Ayyankali fought for that one. And he started a Sadhu Jana Paripalanaya Sangam in 1907. In that this Sangam, the Pulaya people were uplifted during that time. Pulaya people were depressed class people. So uplifted the Pulaya people. Islamic reforms. After the depress of Great Revolt in 1857, the Muslims looked Western culture. Western culture compulsorily want to learn by the Muslims. The Muslims feared that Western education, Western culture and Western ideas endanger the religion. They thought that. So, they were not able to compare to the Hindu-Halite. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. The Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he was the leader of Muslim. Indian Muslims lost his education during that time. So, they needed the leadership at that time. So, in this juncture, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan came to the power, leader. He was born in Delhi in noble Muslim family, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. He was educated one, and Muslim people were denied to education and harmed Muslims. The Muslims were harmed one. So he wanted to uplift the Muslims. So he ordered to the Muslim people to study the Western science and take up the government jobs. So after that, he translated the English books into Urdu. Many people were learned the Urdu language, and Muslims bonded to the British during that time. Bonded to the British. So Muslims were under the control of British. So he ordered to the Muslims to learn English language, English education. Concentrate on English education, he said to the Muslims. Many people were concentrated on the English education. Aligarh movement. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan movement was known as Aligarh movement. He founded the Aligarh Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College in 1875. The many Muslims were studied in this college, and after the study, the more and more Muslim educated people came out from the college, and he produced more intelligentsia during that time. Noted. Okay, then see you tomorrow, students.